Okay, good morning. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of Maximizing Your Impact with Dr. Max Oluba. I am your Instagram coach, your personal effectiveness doctor. And this morning, I'll be continuing the series on the 7 foundational belief systems you understand that would enable you achieve your wildest dreams. So I want to welcome you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. Please tell your friends, tell your family that we are live. You understand? We are live today. We are going to build on the 7 foundational belief systems that would enable you achieve your wildest dream. I hope your week has been good. So for those of you that are online, just tell me, I hope you've had a great week. You understand? I hope you've had a great week. So I'd like to welcome Ade and Bernard. Ade, please, can you just tell me your full name so that I can welcome you on the video? Thank you, Sunday Abby. Thank you. Thank you for those joining me. Tell your friends, tell your family that we are live. And today we'll be building on the 7 foundational belief system at the end of 7 weeks. So this is like a 8 weeks online course, because the day 1 is the introduction to the course, and 7 weeks. So see this as like a 7 weeks online course or 8 weeks online course that will enable you achieve success. And what I will say to you is that go back to the previous videos and watch them. So Sunday, I'd like to welcome you. Just tell me your full names and I want to welcome you. So the first week, which is the first episode, we looked at your wildest dreams are achievable. That's the first thing. Your wildest dreams are achievable. That's the first thing we looked at. And so what I said, that revelation, insight came to me when I started writing down my goals for the second half of this year and for 2025. And some of them I multiplied by 10x. Yes, thank you, Ade. I'm happy to hear that your week was great. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you. Another privilege to draw. Yes, I multiplied my dreams by 10x, some of them by 100x. And guess what? When I multiplied it and it looked so big, and I looked at the dreams and the goals, and I said, Maxwell, these your dreams and your goals today that you're projecting over 5 years are some people's reality 10 years ago. So it was just the realization that if people have entered into my future and my dreams, it means that my wildest dreams are achievable. We looked at it from a financial standpoint, from different standpoint. Whatever your goals are, you want to enter Harvard. Somebody else has entered Harvard. People are professors in Harvard. You want to earn $1 million. People are earning that almost every day. Today we see people earning billions in a year. You understand? Whatever you want to pastor a big church, you want your company to be a multinational company. There are Nigerian companies that have gone multinational. So that's what we looked at the first week, that your wildest dreams are possible. Last week was the foundation, and I must say that what we thought last week. So thank you for everybody joining. Just do me a favor, put your name on the comment, and I would welcome you specially. You understand, for joining me. You understand, today I will specially welcome you for joining me today. Last week we looked at something that was for some people a bit controversial, but let me prove it to you again. The first belief, and what I want to say here is that life is governed by principles or established on fixed laws. Life is established on fixed laws, and success or failure is a function of 1, understanding the laws, and 2, aligning to those laws. So let's take, for example, the law of gravity. Before, I think it's Isaac Newton that discovered the law of gravity, if I'm correct. Before he discovered the law of gravity, the law had always been there. It's the reason why fruits will fall. It's the reason why when we climb certain stuff, we fall. And the law of gravity occurs across the globe. Whether you're in Nigeria, Ghana, Rwanda, Mexico, America, Canada, that law doesn't respect anybody. If you align to the law of gravity, it will work for you. If you go against the law of gravity, your consequence is a function of understanding and alignment. So once we understand that life is established on fixed laws, and success or failure is a function of our alignment to them, then you cannot understand why law number 1 or the first belief system is important, that life is fair. Because if life has established fixed laws, it doesn't respect. And can I say this? I'm a pastor, and I'm privileged that I pastor a church. But I also understand that principles doesn't respect religion. So a Christian, a Muslim would succeed if you apply the principles that life is established on. That's where life is fair. You understand? If you sow, you would reap. When it talks about seed time and harvest, it did not say seed time and harvest for a male, for a female, for a Christian, for a Muslim. So principles do not respect individuals. Life is governed on fixed laws. When we talk about some spiritual stuff, we'll go into that. But this is just saying life is governed on fixed laws. It's the reason why we've seen some people who claim not to believe in God, so to speak, but they are succeeding in life simply because they are applying the laws or following the laws of life. And if you follow the laws of life, life will reward you. Think about it again. Ingrained inside of us, wired into our DNA, is the principle of fairness and equity. Wars have been fought as a result of, you understand, when people feel that they've not been treated fairly. Fairness and equity is wired into every one of us. You want to be treated fairly. You want your organization to be equitable. There's an experiment online that they did about monkeys. And so the assignment is, give me a rock and I'll give you a gift. So the first one gave the rock, and they gave the first one cucumber, and he took the cucumber and ate the cucumber, was happy with the cucumber. Then the second one gave the rock, and they gave the second one grapefruit, the small red grape. And you know, grape is sweeter than cucumber. So when they did that, the first one again decided to give the rock, expecting to get grape, and they gave the first one cucumber. And guess what? He was so angry. He threw the cucumber at the researcher and refused to eat the cucumber. Why? Because this is not just fair. What am I saying is that inside of us is wired that principle of fairness. That principle of fairness. So if we're not happy when we're not treated fairly, do you think that life and God will treat people unjustly and unfairly? Because fairness deals with justice. That's what fairness deals with. Every time you see somebody being unfair, whether at a presidential level, as a governor, as a CEO of an organization, it means that there is no sense of justice in that organization. And justice sits on righteousness, you understand, or what you call integrity. So when if life is not fair, you understand, it means that there's no justice, there's no integrity in life, and you can tell that will be chaos. So because of that, principle number one says life is fair. And so if I do not get the result that I want, I should take full responsibility. And that is principle number two. So principle number two is the principle of responsibility, and the belief system in principle number two. So belief system for principle number one, or belief number one, is life is fair. Belief system for two is life, I am responsible. Now, I have thought responsibility over and over in different segments of this series. You understand? So if you check some other videos, you will see the concept of responsibility. So permit me here to just re-emphasize that for some people. And if this is the first time you're joining me, just follow me here. It's in my book on the difference, I talked about the concept of window shopping. You know, window shopping is you want to go to a shop and you want to see some goods, something you like, something you admire, something you appreciate, but something you cannot afford right now. You just want to know the price. You understand? So sometimes you go there, you look at the price tag. Okay, so you tell yourself, if I really want this, what do I need to do to get it? In MBA schools, they call it information sessions. The purpose of an information session is to tell you what the requirements are for you to enter our MBA school. You understand? Just like window shopping, you know the price tag. And can I say this to you, that greatness has a price tag. If we must take greatness from the shelf, whatever that greatness is. Now, your personal greatness might be different from my personal greatness. You understand? So because I'm a consultant to organizations, I will define my greatness from the impact I'm making in organizations, from the kind of customers that I get, you understand, in organization. Because I'm a pastor of a church, I will define my own greatness slightly differently. So your own greatness might be different from mine. But irrespective of your definition of greatness, for you to take the the goods away from the chef. You understand? You either pay the price or you steal it. And if you steal it, you know that there are consequences for that. So we're not here. So you need to pay the price. There's a price tag that you must pay. And guess what? The price tag that you must pay for success, whatever that success is responsibility. Winston Churchill says that responsibility is the price, is the price of greatness. And Theodore Roosevelt says that your ability needs responsibility to expose its possibilities. So your abilities needs responsibility to expose its possibility. So today I'm talking about responsibility. That's the second belief system, that I am responsible. And there are certain things in life that nobody can do for you, and you need to understand that. As simple as this is, there are certain things that nobody can do for you. For example, nobody can eat your own food for you. You understand? Nobody can eat your own food for you. Nobody can take your medications for you. No matter how caring, nice, wonderful your husband, your wife, your doctor is, your doctor cannot take your medications for you. You understand? Nobody can do certain things for you. Like a woman that is pregnant, nobody can carry your pregnancy for you. Once a woman gets pregnant, she knows that only she will carry that baby to term. The husband will not carry the baby to term. The boyfriend, whoever it is, the uncle, nobody can carry that baby. Only she would carry that baby to term. She is responsible for that particular assignment. And if the baby survives, fails, it's a function of her. And this for me is principle number 2. And principle number 2 says, I am responsible. No other person will determine my success or my failure. You understand? I need to pay the price. And if I'm not willing to pay the price, I'm not going to succeed. Michael Jackson calls it the man in the mirror. You need to take a look at the man in the mirror and say to the man in the mirror, you are responsible for your success and you are responsible for your failure. If you are succeeding, look at the man in the mirror. Don't look outward. The man in the mirror. That's the man in the mirror. That's the person that determines whether you are succeeding or not. It's not the environment. It's not the economy. The environment plays a part, don't get me wrong, but even in this difficult environment, there are people that are succeeding with a difficult environment. So I am responsible is principle number 2. And as simple as this is, you find out that it's not easy. Simple doesn't make it easy. A lot of us know what we need to do, but a lot of us are not doing what we know we ought to do. And so simple doesn't make it easy, because the average human being, we can take responsibility when we succeed. It's easy, but we cannot take responsibility. It's difficult to take responsibility when we fail. I gave the example of when people write an exam. When you pass, you understand, and they ask you, what did you get? I got an A. I got an A. You understand? I got an A. I came out with the first class. But if the person got a D, usually the person will say they gave me. It was a D. You understand? That's what they gave me. Because it's easy to take responsibility when things are working. But when things are not working, the natural, default human tendency, and I'll talk about that, is to find somebody else to apportion that responsibility to, so that you can absorb yourself from that. That's what we call the blame game or giving excuses. But the lesson you must learn here today is that only those that can accept responsibility for their current state, good or bad, you understand, will find the strength to accept responsibility for their future results. If you cannot accept responsibility for your current state, you understand, for your current state, you cannot accept responsibility for your future state. So let's start by looking at our current state. So current state, results, and emotions. Those are the only 2 things I want to just mention here. Now, your current results, just tell yourself, I am responsible for this result. And the prodigal son got to that point where he was feeding swine. I am responsible. If I'm feeding swine, if I'm struggling to feed my family, you understand, if I cannot pay my bills, the first point here is every result in your life has been either created or allowed by you. So I created it by certain decisions I took that has gone south. Now, you understand, I took a decision that didn't go well. So I take responsibility for that. Every result in your life has either been created or allowed by you, or I allowed it. I allowed somebody else to run roughshod over me. I allowed somebody else to do this to me. So that's the first point. You need to take that point of responsibility seriously. Same thing with your emotions. Eleanor Roosevelt says nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. So if somebody is getting you angry, making you feel inferior, making you feel stupid, notice that you also give the person the consent to make you feel inferior. That's what Eleanor Roosevelt said. Nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. So if somebody says you're stupid and you're getting all worked up, are you really stupid? So why are you getting all worked up? There is a part of you that gave the person that consent to make you feel inferior. Nobody can make you inferior. So for your result and your emotional state, you need to understand I am responsible. And if you've ceded your power out, this episode is to help you take that power back and stop blaming somebody else for your results. So let's define the word blame. Now, because you see, it's easy to say I am responsible for success. So let's talk about responsibility for our failures and blame game. There are different ways to define blame, but I just see blame. A simple way is the transference of responsibility to something or someone else. Why did you come late? Oh, there was traffic on the road. So you've transferred the responsibility to someone else. Are there times in life when you leave home? So you leave home and there's unusual traffic. Today in Lagos, there's a lot of construction happening. Yes, sometimes it can happen. But if you notice that the first day, what should you do the next day? You leave it much earlier, because that is what responsibility is. You can't keep blaming the traffic for your state. Excuse me. I said to my friends, this is my personal philosophy. The first time can be a mistake. The second time is not a mistake. You understand? The first time, maybe the traffic, I didn't know. You understand? I didn't know there is a lot of construction. Let's be fair. It can happen. There's nobody that is perfect. But if it happens the second time, then it's no longer a mistake. It's a decision. And why do we transfer responsibility to someone else? Is to absorb ourselves from every blame. Is to absorb ourselves. There are three reasons. So many reasons, but three reasons I want to cover here that people blame situations, circumstances, and the rest. The first reason why we blame others is simply because it is easy and natural. Easy. It's easy. I think that the fall of man, you understand, passed that blame chain into us, the fall of man. In the Garden of Eden, when Adam sinned, he says, the woman you gave me. So Adam blamed God and blamed the woman, and the woman blamed the serpent. And today, these are the three things: God, the devil, or the individual. So some people today are atheists because they say if God is God and is a kind God, why is the world like this? And they forget that they are responsible. There are certain things that you are responsible for, and so they are passing the responsibility of men on God and blaming God for what is happening on the world today. And instead of taking responsibility, it's not God that put the trigger. Somebody put that trigger, or they blame the devil. You understand? They blamed the devil. Is the devil that is forcing me. Sometimes we're giving the devil too much credit, or they blame some other people. They blame the external environment. So from the from the Garden of Eden, it's the natural default tendency of the human being. And think about this: if you have kids and maybe they are playing and you hear a sound and you say, who did this or who did that? The next tendency is for them to blame each other. It's easy. It's an attribute of a child. And so I say, when I see an adult looking for, it's my wife, it's because of my wife that I've not made progress. It's because of my husband I've not made progress. It's because of the economy I've not made progress. I'm a leadership coach, so I know that leadership is important, the economy is important. But in the same economy, are people making progress? And the answer is yes. And if people are making progress in the same economy, you cannot blame the economy. There are certain things that you are not doing right. Every time you see an adult apportioning blame, transferring responsibility to somebody else, it means that adult has regressed back to a child. It's what we call arrested development. He has regressed. He's behaving, he's acting like a child. If you need to succeed, principle number 2 says is the concept of 100% responsibility. I cut off the umbilical cord. So I refuse to blame people, events, circumstances for my result. I am fully responsible. So the second point here is that why do we blame others? It's also a defensive mechanism to protect our fragile ego. This morning in one of my medical platforms that I belong to, I saw a video that I could only watch for 3 minutes, and this video is between the man and the wife, and it's not something I can go in details, but rather than the man has a wife in Nigeria, rather than taking responsibility that, sorry what happened, you know what he said to the woman, I didn't really want you to get married to have a child for me, you understand? So instead of taking responsibility, he's transferring responsibility to somebody else. This is the classic example of a narcissist. A narcissist is somebody that will do wrong but blame the other person and say, you made me do it. So if a man like that man strays out of marriage, instead of saying it was a mistake, I take responsibility for this, he will say it was because you didn't do A, you didn't do B, you didn't do C, you didn't do D. So indirectly passing that responsibility to that person, so that I didn't do anything wrong. You were the person that pushed me to this. So the second reason is a defensive mechanism to protect our fragile ego. So I don't need to apologize. I don't need to tell you I'm sorry. I don't need to admit to a fault. So because you are the person who made me do it. And the third reason here is to release ourselves from the consequences of the action. If I don't need to apologize and the rest, you cannot punish me. So a drunk driver, for example, and that committed a crime. So why did you commit this crime? Not committed the crime that killed somebody, for example. He says it is the alcoholic beverage company. If they have not manufactured alcohol, I will not have drank alcohol. And because of it, so it's not me. It's the alcohol that caused it. See how stupid that is. So George, blame the alcoholic company. You understand? Sentence the alcoholic company. Allow me to go scot-free. But you know that sometimes, you understand, even though we can blame people, there are two things that blame doesn't do. Number one, it doesn't change the situation. So you can blame the economy all you want. You can blame your spouse all you want. You can blame your father all you want for not sending you to school or giving you the money you need to start your business. You can blame society all you want. Blaming locks you to your past. It doesn't change the situation. Every time you blame situations, circumstances, you are locked to your past. And so if you want to open the key, the release the key, is that you need to look at yourself and say, hey guys, and what you need to do is you need to tell yourself, I forgive the economy, I forgive whoever it is, I forgive my boss, I forgive my spouse. Because as long as you are blaming, you don't blame for future events, you blame for past events. You are still locked in your past. And if success, your dreams, is in the future, but you are still with the attitude of blame, you are actually going backwards, not forward. So you need to come to that point, and some of us here needs to do that. There are certain hurt, bitterness, anguish of spirit, so that you have in your heart, that you need to let go. You need to let go. You need to let go. Somebody might have triggered it, but you ultimately did something that you need to let go, and you need to tell the person, I forgive you, because right now I'm learning to take full responsibility for my shape, for my success, for my happiness, for my financial prosperity. And the second thing that blaming does here is that it takes that power away from us, because when we blame individuals, we blame circumstances, we blame events, we forget that the greatest gift that God gave humanity is the power to choose. Is the greatest gift, is the power to choose. Viktor Frankl says the last of all humans' freedom is the ability to choose one's response in a given circumstance. That's the gift that you have. So you seed your power to change when you blame situation and circumstances. But once you take responsibility and says, I am responsible, then the starting point and starting process now begins to happen. So let me bring this home. Now, so in the context of I'm responsible, you need to look at your results and say to your results, Maxwell, I am responsible for this financial state. You understand? That's the starting point. So let's ask ourselves certain questions. The first question you need to ask yourself is, am I happy with my current state? Tomorrow, I'll talk to you next week, I'll talk to you in the belief number 3. I will tell you where all change and all transformation begins in belief number 3. So if you want to know where all change and all transformation begins, you need to join me for next week as we look at belief number 3. So belief number 1 explains life generally, says life is fair. So if life is fair, people's results are a function of what they did or what they didn't do. That takes me to belief number 2. And belief number 2 now says, so look at your results. Your results reflect what you've done or what you've not done, which is the concept of responsibility. So the first thing I want to ask you here is how did I get here? That's the starting point. So if I don't like my results, how did I get here? How did I get here? How did I get here? And as you play back, you see, because you cannot relive the past, yes, but you can learn from the past. How did I get here? What principles of life did I break that had gotten me here? Because life is established on fixed laws, on principles, and success happens when we align with them. How did I get here? That's one question that you need to ask. How did I get here? Today is the harvest of the seeds that you have sown 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. People do not just wake up and become obese. Oh, you understand? Oh, there's no, sorry to say this, there's no gene for obesity. I know some people might not like this, you understand? Obesity ultimately boils down to excess calories for 99%. There might be a 1% exception, but 99%. So if you watch certain programs on TV, there's a program I stumbled onto on TSTV recently. It's called The Biggest Loser. In fact, when I saw The Biggest Loser, in my mind I said, Biggest Loser, how can there be a program of Biggest Loser? And I tuned onto the program, and guess what? The question on the biggest loser is about 14 obese people. 14 obese people divided in 2 groups of 7 with personal trainers, taking them through gymming, exercise, hard work, difficulty. And I have videos that I've watched on YouTube on people who are 300 and something pounds. You understand? 300 and something pounds. They've shrunk just by going through that discipline. So the starting point says, how did I get here? You understand? Somebody, how did I get here? How did I get here? How did I become? You understand? How did this marriage that started, think about it, very few people. Yes, I understand that there's some arranged marriage. I understand that there's some forced marriage, like the Jacob and Leah story, where a woman, you understand, gets pregnant and the man was forced. But how did the woman get pregnant in the first place? You know, that's the question you need to ask yourself. How did the woman just take when you were sleeping and the rest? There's a part that you played. But let's forget that. Like for just Jacob could have said, I was deceived. But how did you get here? Jacob was drunk that night. And in that night, he did not see very well. Because if he was not drunk, he would not have entered into Leah. So at the end of the day, there are certain things we can point to. Now, somebody will say, what of Joseph, whose brothers hated him? But when Joseph shared his dreams and they felt angry, why was he sharing? Why did he keep sharing the second one, getting them angry? At the end of the day, whatever any person does to you, you need to ask yourself, how come? How did I get here? Second thing that says here, okay, you understand when you ask yourself, how did I get here? You're asking yourself, so what principles Oh, I didn't notice the subtle signs. I didn't notice it. You understand? I didn't pay attention to signs. I didn't pay attention to this. I didn't pay attention to that. You understand? What did I fail to do? You understand? That's the second question. And the third question, I say, so what do I need to do differently in order to change my result? Notice here, the three questions. How did I get here? What did I fail to do? You understand? What principles did I break? You understand? And number three, what did I need to do differently? Is I. I know when we teach leadership, we're saying it's not an I understand that. But this is personal effectiveness. This is you taking responsibility for your futures. So I was teaching leadership some time ago, and somebody said something to me that I was fantastic and amazing. I said to the individual that you never leave crucial issues of your life in the hands of somebody else to determine. Crucial issues, you understand? You don't leave crucial issues, your finances, in the economy, you understand? Crucial issues of your life. No, you never leave crucial issues of your life in the hands of somebody else to determine. So we talked about different people, career choices that they made. Somebody who left an organization rose, another person stayed on one level for 12 years. And the lady said something in class that has stuck with me. He said, organizations are not intelligent. Not very intelligent. And let me explain this. An organization has 500 people, and you don't expect the organization has one plan, and that is the organizational goal. And they throw the net. It will not cover everybody every fish in the sea, everybody in the organization. So in their plans, some people's plans will not be met. That you need to take responsibility for your own career and say, the way my organization is going, would it help me accomplish my own goals? And I said, fantastic, I like that. Organizations are not very intelligent. Nations are not very intelligent. You understand? There's no way you can take a decision that would affect, even if you take good decisions, you understand, economies like Canada, America, you understand, that will take good decisions. Even with the good decisions you take in America, there are some, today people are still talking about racism and the black divide, the Black Lives Matter and the rest. But it's in America that Obama became, it's in America that Michael Jordan. At the end of the day, there's no economy that will solve all the problems of the citizens in that economy. Every economy will have the rich, the poor. Every economy will have people that will live long. Every economy will have people that will, for their own reasons, will die. So you notice that it boils down to you taking responsibility for your own career, for your own goals, for your own future. Is the concept of full ownership, 100%. I work for an organization, but my career is not in the hands of the organization. My career is in my own hands. I live in Nigeria. I'm in Nigeria right now. I don't have any other passport. I wish I had. You understand? It gives me options. You understand? But see, at the end of the day, I need to take full responsibility. That's the spirit of Jephthah. You people drove me out, and I put my life in my hands, and I decided to succeed. And Jephthah was a man, according to the story, you understand, had not a great past, but he took responsibility for his future, and he became a success story. So let me bring this to let me bring this to a close. Let me bring this to a close. You know, I want to give you two examples. From the Garden of Eden, God gave man a garden. And that garden, they say, is the garden of his presence. Fantastic. That was where God met man. I agree. It's the garden of pleasure. Everything man needed is amazing. You understand? But it's also the garden of responsibility. He told the man to till and to guard. You understand? To till and to guard. So whatever happens in the garden is a function of you, Adam. You understand? I'm not going to prevent whatever happens. How this garden becomes it's a function of you. Whether this garden, you understand, will become the best place on earth or not, is a function of you. So in the same vein, it's like somebody getting married. It's like somebody starting a career. You understand? You've been given a garden, and that garden is a garden of responsibility. The problem I see with Christians, not, you understand, not everyone, you understand, is that we do fellowship, which is fantastic and amazing, but we are not some people are not very responsible. God seeded the garden to Adam's hand. God will not till the garden for you. God will not go to work for you. God will not stand up and understand market, trends, pricing, product for you. It's not God's responsibility. I have given you the garden. Adam, is your responsibility to understudy. So you need to know how to till. It's not me. You can ask me for grace, yes, I can, but you need to know how to till. You need to know how to plant. You need to become a master gardener. You understand? So you need to cultivate. You need to cultivate your garden and make sure that your garden becomes the very best place. And if you look at it in every department, I said to you that, May Jemison, I'll come to my second story. So I'm still building on the concept of the garden. That garden, what is your garden right now? And what is happening in your garden? Have you allowed the serpent into your garden? And today your spouse is listening to a serpent, to a lot of things that are happening haywire in your garden. It's simply because you've not taken responsibility for your assignment. May Jemison was the first black woman in space, and they asked her in this black race space, and they asked her, what is greatness? And you know what she said? She said, greatness can be summarized in one word. And I like that quote. Greatness can be summarized in one word. So let me ask somebody, if I ask you, what would that word be? What would that word be? We will give different words, but May Jemison, and I like this. Greatness is summarized in one word. Thank you for all the people writing. I see people commenting. My good friend Stanley, my career is in my hands. Thank you. And Boye Short, I'm sure this is Boyega. How did I get here? Thank you for writing the summary and all the people that have commented. And she said something. Greatness can be summarized in one word. Never forget this. He said that word is lifestyle. 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 I need to remind you again. Greatness is in one word, and that word is lifestyle. We call it behaviors, we call it actions. You understand? It's lifestyle. And it says life is God's gift to you. Life is God's gift to you. I like that. Life is God's gift to you. Style is what you make out of it. Wow. So it is not God that determines style. No. Life is God's gift to you. Style is what you make out of it. Now, the organization has given you that job offer is like a gift. Style is what you make out of it. You can become the go-to person in that organization. Style is what you make out of it. Or you can become a nuisance in that organization. Style is what you make out of it. Life is God's gift to you. Style. So Ronaldo moving from what's that club that he left from in Portugal to Manchester United. You can call it a gift, but style. He went to Real Madrid. Style is what you make out of it. Style is what you make out of it. And the one way to also understand this concept about style is what you make out of it means that, hey guys, you are responsible. God has given you the gift. That Nigeria is a country blessed with the abundance of resources. Style is what you make out of it. And can I say this to you? I've decided to make my life, you understand, meaningful, colorful, wonderful, because style is what you make out of it. That is what May Jemison said. Look at it. Another one way to explain this again is we are traveling. We are going international. And you have first class, business class, you have a premium economy, you have economy. Now, the airline, the responsibility of the airline is to take you to your destination. The airline does not determine your class of seats. You understand? Very rarely do you have the airline determining your class of seats. You determine your class of seats. Style is what you make out of it. As I bring this to a close, you understand? Thank you for everybody. You understand, Bernard, all the things you've said. As I bring this to a close, I'll tell you the story of a young guy. Style is what you make out of it. is that this young guy got to a village, and I'll be done in 5 minutes maximum. This young guy got to a village, and he was told that there's an old sage in that village, and that old sage can tell you the answer to any question in your heart, any. And the guy says, how can that be? That this man is a fraud. This man is deceiving you. How can a man tell you the answer to any question in your heart? And he went to the forest with his sling, or what we call catapult, with a sling and a stone, and he caught a bird. The force of the stone almost killed the bird, and he took the bird in his hands and took some friends. Take me to the old man. The bird was almost dead, and they went to the old man and put the bird behind his back and asked the old man, I have a bird in my hand. Tell me if this bird is dead or alive. And his philosophy, his idea, his plan was simple. If the old man says alive, he will squeeze the neck of the bird and bring the bird as dead. And if the old man says dead, he will bring the bird as alive. So either way, he wants to prove to the people that this old man is a fraud. The old man looked at him, kept quiet for a while, saw through his intentions, and said to the young man, it's in your hands to make dead or alive. And that was what the old man said. Whether the bird succeeds or whether the bird lives or dies, it's in your hands. Whether the bird lives or dies, it's in your hands. It's in your hands to make dead or alive. And so I take that as my closing thought. It's in your hands to make successful or failure. Whether you will become a success or you will fail, it's in your hands. Whether your business will become global or will keep struggling, it's in your hands. Whether the church will go, you understand, from the small number to a great number, it's in your hands. Whether the home will be a place for peace or a place where there's warfare, like Haiti, what is happening in Haiti, it's in your hands. It's in your hands to make dead or alive. And that's the second principle. Is the principle of responsibility. Is the principle that says we determine the results of our lives. It's in our hands to make dead or alive. The life is God's gift to us. Style is what we make out of it. My name is Dr. Max Oluba. I hope today's session has been amazing to you. Next week we'll continue. So my admonition is put style in your life. Put style to your business. Put style to your engagement. Put style to the way you interact with people. Make a difference. Put style, you understand. Next week we'll talk about where all change, all transformation, all breakthrough. Thank you, my big sister. Thank you, my brother-in-law. Thank you, you understand. Thank you, goodness. Thank you. Next week we'll do the belief number 3, and we'll talk about where all change begins, where all transformation begins. Thank you, where all transformation. So do me a favor, please like the page. Thank you. Like the page, Austin. I'm sure that will be us 9241. Please like the page. Immediately after this, I will share the video. Do me a favor, share it with your friends. Let this go viral if need be, because people need to learn that it's in their hands to make dead or alive, or style is what you make out of it. God bless you. God bless you. Do have a great weekend and a great week ahead. See you 9 a.m. next week Saturday. I am Dr. Max Oluba.